This film is brought to you by New York Life and its over 10,000 agents and representatives who offer you quality financial products and services to help you get the most out of life.
Detroit, home of the auto industry, Motown. Both the industry and the city represent a tradition that has made this country great. The tradition of the American work ethic. It is the American work ethic that has kept the auto industry at the top. And it's that same work ethic that will get the Detroit Lions back to the top. It is what has made Paul Butcher, a free agent from Detroit's Wayne State University, the Lions special teams MVP 2 years in a row. And hard work is what will get Devon Mitchell back on the playing field.
I come in and I warm up on the bike for about 15 minutes. Then I go through various exercises such as leg extensions, leg curls, leg press, and squats. Well, right now it's supposed to be 18 months, but I hopefully I'll be back, by this season.
Mitchell, an all-rookie safety in 1986, missed the entire 87 campaign with a preseason knee injury. Like Mitchell, the Lions are committed to the work ethic that will get them back to NFL prominence. The path to this success has many obstacles. Yet despite their setbacks in 1987, the Lions took another step in the right direction. The groundwork for the future began to take shape in the first game of the 87 season. The Lions, behind Chuck Long's first touchdown pass of the year and 4 Eddie Murray field goals, raced to a commanding first-half lead. But youthful mistakes and the talent of Anthony Carter combined to give Minnesota its come-from-behind victory. Despite the loss, the Lions' defense, led by safety James Griffin and by Dwayne Galloway, forced Wade Wilson into 3 interceptions. The ability to make the big play is a tool that veteran linebacker and 1987 defensive MVP Jimmy Williams finds both instinctive and exhilarating.
There's probably no greater thrill for a defender, a particular linebacker, than to make the big play that'll change the complexion of the game.
Testaverde drops to throw. Pocket collapsing, but he's got time going down the middle. Intercepted at the Lion 40. It's Jimmy Williams back up to midfield, running to his right. Gets some blockers. He may go all the way. The 40. Jimmy with a convoy in front, being chased inside the 50.
First reaction that any defender will have is the anticipation of the play itself, seeing the ball come as it's passed in the air. And all of a sudden you have it. You have that interception. The crowd is very quiet. It almost seems as though things are moving in slow motion. And then after that play is over, there's a sudden burst of energy and release and noise from the crowd and your players surrounding you, and you probably have the greatest feeling that you can have at that particular point.
Williams' propensity for making the big play merely augmented his ranking as second on the team in tackles, not to mention his 4 quarterback sacks.
Well, first of all, the difference between successful teams and unsuccessful teams is about this much.
All it says to you is that when you play the caliber of football of the good teams and you're there, then you're not that far away.
Oh, how loud and true those words of Jimmy Williams and head coach Darrell Rogers ring when the Lions think back to RFK Stadium last November. The Lions defense stifled the Super Bowl champions so much that quarterback Jay Schrader was benched in favor of Doug Williams. The Lions' domination was obvious in the statistics as they gained more yards than the Skins both through the air and on the ground. And rookie Carl Bernard's third quarter touchdown had the fans in Washington looking to point the finger. If not for the fact that Long's signal wasn't audible, the Lions may have been winners that day. But unfortunately, a fine effort by Long and his teammates ended in a bitter defeat with this last-minute interception, a pass Long was trying to throw away. But as wide receiver Jeff Chadwick puts it, performances like that will help the Lions work their way back.
I think we're just as good as any of those teams. I just think we've got to play like that more consistently.
Chuck Long was happy with his offensive line of Glover, Brown, Salem, Barrows, Dorney, Mott, Sanders, and Malinchik.
Well, I think that's one of the bright spots of our team this year. Even though we had a bad record, our offensive line did a great job all year. I think I was only sacked like 17 times the whole year. I think Lomas and Harvey are two of the best tackles in the league.
Lomas Brown also has his thoughts.
I think if we become consistent this whole year, then I think everything will work out because all Chuck needs is the time, and the running backs just need a little opening, and they'll be successful at what they're doing. The thing about our running backs is they read the holes pretty well and they accelerate through them. And the thing about it, you don't have to hold your block real long because you just get the initial block and they're gone. So that helps us a lot.
It also bodes well for the future that, excluding Dorney, the average age of the Lions' offensive line is just 24 years. In the first regular game following the players' strike, the Lions expected to do some running, but it was Green Bay which ran away in the beginning to a 31-7 lead. Only the punting of Jim Arnold set the Pack back in the early stages of this contest. Arnold, the Lions' first Pro Bowl selection since 1983, set an NFL record with his 39.6 net punting average. But as Chuck Long remembers, the Packers' big lead never dampened the Lions' determination.
We were down like 31-7, early in the third quarter, I believe, and I just didn't feel like we should be down that many points. When we were in the huddle, we were just thinking, well, this is going to bust any minute right now, and we just had to keep patient, and it finally did.
Long completed a team record-tying 33 passes for 362 yards, the third highest single-game total in team history. And the running game also did its part. Everybody jammed in tight. The handoff to Gary James. Diving over the top. Touchdown! With 3:02 to go, the Lions have taken the lead 32-31. The win seemed secure, but Lomas Brown's expression told the sad story as a last-minute field goal spelled defeat for Detroit. But for Chuck Long, it proved he could bring his team back.
Chuck is there to keep you in the game, and he's a good leader on the field too, to be a young guy.
He is a guy that you can give the responsibility to, and you know that you will get good performances out of Chuck. I think Chuck is what referred to right now as going to be the Detroit Lions franchise. What we need to have, it has to be a team and have other people involved, and then he is a great deal better football player.
What Lions fans and teammates witnessed in 1987 was the maturation of an NFL quarterback, one who developed poise and displayed mettle, one who exercised his resources and polished his abilities. A quarterback working his team back. Receiver Jeff Chadwick is somebody who knows what makes Long as good as he is.
He's got a very quick release, so he's able to stay in the pocket just a little bit longer than a lot of other quarterbacks, especially his age.
Long would throw long or short. When chased from the pocket, he would throw on the run. Or just simply run.
I feel I can get the job done as well as any quarterback in the league, and eventually with more experience and more time, I'll be able to take that 2-minute drill and get him down the field and score when it's crucial.
While Long continues to make progress, the Lions in 1988 will welcome back Eric Hipple, who spent the entire 1987 season on injured reserve. According to Long, Hipple is more than a good tutor. He sees his own future.
Eric's real smart. He knows the game inside and out. He knows, what the linemen are doing on each play, and that's the type of quarterback I want to become.
With a healthy Hipple and an improving Long, the Lions have one of the NFL's finest quarterback tandems. As the '87 season wore on, signs of frustration, agony, and emotional pain were evident. The Lions were a team on the right train, but the wrong track. In a midweek meeting prior to the game against Dallas, owner William Clay Ford spoke to the team with hopes of putting them back on the right track.
All teams have changes. All teams have adversity, but the best teams respond successfully to it.
The words of Jimmy Williams, the Lions responded against the Cowboys, one of the premier teams in the league. The Lions picked up their heads, pinned back their ears, had their tails a-wagging, and America's team became Motown's conquest.
Goes White, and he's going to be sacked by Mike Cofer on the 1-yard line. Cofer came roaring right by Crawford Kerr on a blitz. Got White at the 1, spun him back into the end zone, but they will rule Danny White down on the 1.
The Lions did a number on both sides of the football. Receiver Jeff Chadwick caught 3 passes for 72 yards. While the team's most improved player, Pete Mandley, snared a career-high 8 catches. The total team effort against Dallas was complemented with this gem by Mandley and his special teams mates. Players like Butch Woolfolk, Gary Lee, Carl Bland were only happy to follow Paul Butcher, Curtis Green, George Jameson, Vernon Maxwell, and Steve Bach. The kicking, of course, was left to Eddie Murray, who was 2 for 2 against the Cowboys, as was Gary James with 2 TDs.
I formation for James and Jones. Handoff Gary James, left side over the top. He runs into Diassi, bounces off, and goes in for a Detroit touchdown. Long straight back to throw. Lofting it up down the middle. Tight end Rubick in traffic. Has a touchdown, Detroit.
It's about time.
He beat Michael Downs. Rob Rubick, who said last week, every time I get a chance, I seem to blow it, made no mistake this time.
The pressure on quarterback Danny White and some late defensive heroics allowed the Lions to register 4 interceptions, the most by a Lions defense since 1983. Safety James Griffin clinched the win with a fourth quarter theft. Griffin led the Lions in '87 with 6 interceptions, second most in the NFL. The team in silver and blue from the division of black and blue held the upper hand this day, as the final score indicated. The Lions demonstrated their resiliency and determination against the Cowboys. One Lion who epitomizes those traits is linebacker Michael Kofor. The 5th-year veteran led the team in sacks and was a shining example of all-out effort for a promising quartet of rookie defensive players, beginning with number 97, Danny Salamua, a 6-foot, 285-pound nose tackle. The ability to put the reins on such fast cats as Palmer and Allen may earn number 50, Danny Lockett, the moniker Lions Tamer. All-rookie selection Jerry Ball, who started every game, was so busy breathing down the nose of opposing quarterbacks, they may need more than just a hanky to blow him away. The 4th member was Dennis Gibson. The 240-pound linebacker put the stick on so many opponents that he led the team in tackles, the first rookie ever to do so. Gibson also received some well-deserved all-rookie recognition.
The worst in '87 is the season. The best of '87 is the last 4 games.
The final phase of the '87 season began with a strong effort against the Rams that disintegrated in the 4th quarter. The loss overshadowed a superb performance by rookie wide receiver Gary Lee. The following week in Tampa, the sun wasn't the only thing shining. The Lions defense, with end Eric Williams leading the charge, also shone, sacking Vinny Testaverde 4 times. The ground game was equally productive as the Lions rushed for 190 yards, their highest output of the season. The game also saw Pete Manley register his 6th touchdown reception of the year. Manley was the Lions' offensive MVP in '87. Once known as Pee-wee, he now plays a much larger role in the Lions' offense. And his Week 15 touchdown catch against the Vikings gave him 7 TD receptions, the most by a Lion in 19 years.
Long back to throw. He's looking, pumps it back in the end zone, and Manley makes the catch and gets those feet down just in the field of play for a Detroit touchdown.
The Lions' running game also continued on the right track against Minnesota, as Gary James had his best game of the year with 94 yards on the ground.
It's a draw play, and James finds a hole, cuts to his right at the 10. Down to the 5, he's in the end zone. Touchdown, Gary James.
The season finale in Atlanta was a real gut check for the Lions. Pride was at stake and not much more. Perhaps the true character of this team came to surface this December day as the Lions picked up their most impressive win of the season. Behind backs James Jones and Butch Woolfolk, the Lions took another big step toward working their way back. Gary Ellerson was also a force on the ground, rushing for 73 hard-nosed yards and 2 touchdowns. And the defense chipped in again with 3 interceptions. If the '87 season wasn't all that sweet, the icing looked good when Ricky Smith returned this interception 34 yards for a touchdown. It was the first time since the championship season of 1983 that the Lions had won a game in the month of December. Victories in 2 of their last 3 games proved the Lions are on the right track. They are working their way back.
1987, even though we had a bad record, it was a productive year for us, and I'm optimistic because of that. I feel this team has a lot of talent. We just have to put it all together.
For the Lions and Jimmy Williams, watching the Vikings and Redskins in the playoffs, teams they came so close to beating in '87, was a positive sign for '88.
Probably one of the greatest feelings was viewing their play during the postseason and seeing just how close we came to winning and just how close we are to being successful.
As the Lions work their way back in '88, they will battle some of the NFL's finest teams. 2 recent Super Bowl champions visit the Silverdome this fall. As Jim McMahon and his Chicago Bears make their annual trip to Motown, the Lions will also host the powerful New York Giants. Two emerging powers, the New Orleans Saints, led by quarterback Bobby Hebert, and last year's playoff powerhouse Minnesota Vikings with Anthony Carter, will also visit the Dome in '88 to face a Lions team working its way back.